Welcome to the Charleston CFO Council. This organization was co-founded in 2015 by Robert Bendetti and Mark Carmichael in order to provide a networking and educational forum for senior financial executives to share best practices, to discuss current financial issues, and to learn about current topics related to the performance of their job.
Dawson Smith, how are you doing, sir?
I am good, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to see you. I always enjoy talking to you, and this is fantastic. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you for putting this on.
Well, Dawson Smith is the CFO at GEAR Logistics. GEAR Logistics is one of the fastest growing companies, not in South Carolina, in the country. You are at least, I think, a 5 or 6 time Inc. magazine, 5,000 fastest growing. I think I saw 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 in a row.
That sounds right, yeah.
That's crazy. I worked at a company that was on that list 2 years in a row, and I thought we were unbelievable. You guys are on a run. Not only just one of the fastest growing companies, but you guys are in logistics, that whole train of warehousing, trucking, all that. Those are heroes. The reason we get to work from home and I'm still getting food and supplies is because of the industry you're in. So great job. Dawson's got his undergrad, if I'm noticing correct up there, bachelor's degree in accounting and finance from Wofford College. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
And you played baseball, but I don't know if you know this, but the Kennesaw State University, where I went to school, plays your school in football in the playoffs. It seems like we get there together. And in 2018 and 2019, I'm not really sure, but I think Kennesaw beat you all 13-10 and then 28-21. Boom!
You have done your research.
And something interesting that I found out about you is I think you are on the finance committee at the Trident United Way. Is that true?
I am, yes, sir.
Very cool. Well, very cool, man. Thank you for doing this. You're a good dude. I enjoy hanging out with you and having lunch with you when we can do that. And since we can't, let's record a conversation.
Thank you for putting this on.
Question number 1, Dawson, what is your favorite business book and why?
So I have a 2.5-year-old. So the most recent business book that I just finished was Potty Training in 3 Days. And while that may be close, I wouldn't, or a thriller, it's not quite my favorite. Our CEO at GEAR, he introduced me to Jim Collins a few years ago, and I'd never read any of his books, and I've now read, I believe, all of them. And I really like the way that he writes. I like the data that he puts together and that he analyzes the companies. He does a great job of taking the companies, taking the leaders, showing the traits of good versus great, or successful versus ones that didn't make it. And I think a lot of the books that he's written really resonate for any business leader. My favorite of his is Great by Choice, and it's an analysis or a discussion of a handful of CEOs from different companies, publicly traded companies, and it talks about their traits, how they've handled situations, how they lead teams. And again, that's really resonated for me in my current role, especially.
That's good. And Jim Collins, we've all read Good to Great, but not all of us have read Great by Choice. That's a good recommendation. And maybe there's some similarities between those two books. Sometimes being a senior financial executive, there's some parallels to teaching children how to potty train. So there might be something there. Dawson, question number 2 is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Yeah, this is a tough question because I've received a ton of great advice over my life from a lot of different people. But one thing that I've been taught, not necessarily by any one person, but constantly reminded of throughout my life, throughout my career, is be comfortable being uncomfortable. And for me, even going back to my baseball days, you were taught to not just deal with, but thrive and do very well under pressure. But even in the professional world, I think, whether it's taking a new job where you're going out on a limb, taking a little bit of a leap of faith, or especially it's really been good for me in my current role, because I think it's easy as a leader in a company a lot of times to really sit back and say, wow, look at how great everything is going and look how well everything's running. And for me, it's, being comfortable, being uncomfortable has become a gut check for me to really say, not that you can't look back and say, look how great everything is, but it's to say, okay, well, we need to follow that with, it's time to put the foot back on the gas and start action again. And that's something in my role in an ever-changing company and an environment that's become very important.
That's good advice. Good advice. That's a great transition into question number 3. Dawson, what is a new tool that you've recently started using or a new habit that you've recently picked up that you have found beneficial?
Well, I think everybody, or at least the ones I've listened to, most of the people are using kind of the same answer. And so I hate to do it, but it's the obvious answer, but it's also the answer that we have been using the most, and that is the new technology, working from home, whether it's Microsoft Teams, Zoom, WebEx. We've been very fortunate. We did a very fast deployment throughout JIR of everybody from the office to working remotely. And it went a lot better than we thought. It's not that we didn't think we could do it, it just happened very seamlessly. And a lot of that was due to technology, being able to, constantly stay in communication with your teams that you lead, with the sales teams and all of the other leaders. So to me, those things are hands down the newest and the best piece that we have been using.
Yeah, it's been interesting how there were some areas I didn't think it was going to be seamless, and I didn't think it would work out, and it has. And I've been really pleasantly surprised, and a little bit of a convert. It's been a little bit of a Saul to Paul. If I throw a little New Testament reference, I've been a little bit against it to a real proponent of telework because of the technology adoption.
Yeah, I think I know with our company, a lot of us are in that boat as well. We have been pleasantly surprised with how well it's worked. And it's kind of one of those things. If you haven't ever done it before, you've done it very limitedly. You don't really know, but it's been very good.
Question number 4: what is the best part of your current job?
So I love the challenge of the job and the constant learning that we have. I mean, I think any executive in any small or relatively small company would tell you that whether you're the CFO, the COO, the CEO, your job is not specific to what your title says. So, in my case, it doesn't just stop at finance and accounting. And I love wearing all of the different hats that I have to in order to make sure that the company runs and the job gets done. And part of that is working with the sales teams, some on the front end and some behind the scenes, but we have a ton of young people in our company. And one of the things I love is seeing 22 and 23-year-olds coming right out of college and just blowing it out of the water and having fun and just doing a great job of working hard, making friends, doing well, making a great living. But that, to me, when you see that and you see the passion that some of these young kids have, there's nothing like it.
That'll keep you young for sure. Mm-hmm. Question number 5: what is something personal that you'd be willing to share with the rest of the council that maybe we don't know about you?
Well, I really, with this question, I really enjoy hearing, and I like hearing anyway, digging into what people like as far as their hobbies and what they like doing outside of work. And one of the things that I've always loved is I absolutely love the outdoors. Anything, hiking, backpacking, camping. I've done a lot of that out west, and I love that. But also, I love water sports. I love kiteboarding is something around here that I absolutely love, that I try to do as much as possible. Skiing, snowboarding, fishing, hunting, all of that. I grew up doing a lot of it, and I really look forward to being able to share all of it with my kids one day.
Do you have a favorite spot that you've gone hiking or backpacking when you went out west?
I've been to Alaska, and to me, there's nothing like Alaska. It's amazing. But where I've done the majority of hiking and backpacking is in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon. And to me, I've climbed a lot of the volcanoes out there, and to me, there's nothing like that. It's just such a beautiful country with so many different things. It's just an outdoor playground.
Cool. Question number 6, last question, is what is something that I should have asked that I didn't, and what's your answer to that?
So one of the questions I get asked the most from colleagues, friends, people I even meet recently is I spent prior to GEAR, I've been at GEAR for 4 years now. Prior to GEAR, I spent almost 10 years in commercial banking, and it was a great career, and I absolutely loved it. But I get asked, how was the transition from the commercial banking world to being a CFO? And it's funny, when I first made the transition, I had a lot of my friends saying, do you get to play golf 3 days a week and take long lunches and come in late? And I said, no, it is completely the opposite. It is by far the hardest job I've ever had. The transition, there's certainly things that translate, and there's some things that I have had to learn pretty much from scratch. And but just as hard as it's been and challenging, and as many different hats you have to wear, it's been that much fun and more, and not to mention rewarding. I love being a part of a team that, you're forced to make decisions. You have to make decisions that impact everyone on a daily basis, no matter what it is. And that to me is something that, I love about the current job, but it's always interesting to hear the transition, whether it's from a CPA at an accounting firm to a CFO position or a banker or whatever it is. But it's been a great transition, and it's one that I feel like I've found really a niche in being able to help, GEAR specifically, and being able to help companies in this capacity.
Well, Dawson, I think what you've done, you've shown that you live out that phrase, that being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and willing to step out on the ledge and try something different. And, seeing GEAR in the newspaper, reading the articles, kind of following what you guys are doing. I think GEAR is great by choice, and it's fun to see a local company grow as quickly have you guys from small to medium. I think your revenue is larger than my company's revenue. So Lifecycle Engineering's got to step up their game. And also, it sounds like if anybody wants to buy Dawson Smith a birthday or Christmas present, it needs to be just straight out of the REI catalog. It's like basically you're set. Cabela's or REI, your Dawson will be happy.
You can close your eyes and pick, and I would be happy. No problem.
Awesome. Smith, thank you, sir, for doing this. This was awesome, and I hope you have an awesome day.
Thank you for putting this on, Robert. Have a good one.